Now I see you're wearing is that a Budweiser hat? Like, it was a year ago, right, that you famously posted that video of, I think you were shooting some Bud Light cans after the Dylan Mulvaney controversy. So you've lightened up on Bud Light?
This is a cool hat. I don't know. Man, that's just, man, we got, I didn't know what hat I was wearing. We got bigger targets. I mean, when you look at who just Planet Fitness, like, what are they doing? Like Ben and Jerry's? I don't want to put any targets on people's back. Target, like, I talked to the dudes from Bud Light or Anheuser-Busch, the CEO, and the people like, man, they messed up. It's too bad they just won't say it. Like, hey, we messed up a little bit, you know, whatever. But that's not how they're cut. And you know what? I got my answer, and I don't want to hurt people's jobs and stuff like that when they don't have any dog in the fight. But there's a whole lot more companies we should be going after for sure.
So Kid Rock gets caught slipping up wearing a Budweiser hat on Fox News. And once Laura Ingraham calls it out, but what's going on at Planet Fitness? Oh, and Bud Light told me what I needed to hear to stop acting like I give a damn about their ad campaign. You know, they won't apologize, and I don't want to jeopardize anyone's job either. We got to go after so many other companies because all this is so last year, Laura. We already wrapped that fake production outrage.
Grandpa's feeling a little frisky today. Let me say something to all you and be as clear and concise as possible. Bud Light and Anheuser-Busch. Have a terrific day.
I guess he wasn't very clear or concise when he told supporters that they simply fell for another attention and money-grabbing campaign by grifting MAGA types. You want me to stop wearing my vintage "This Bud's For You" hat? What's wrong with you? All that talk about Budweiser poisoning our children's minds with woke transgender talk is all played out. We got to move on, bro. You know, because at some point, all their suckers have to have some moment of clarity when they actually listen to the things that their heroes are saying to them and about them. Even Laura Ingraham, you know, she just laughed off that whole blatant dismissal of this manufactured anger. I thought they were pissed. He was exposed as a poser when he was also busted by TMZ for drinking Bud Lights right after he shot up that $12 worth of Bud Light at his lake. And by CNN when they discovered his bar still served the illicit beer that apparently makes your kids trans with the hormones that they snuck into it, that they can't drink, you know, because they're children.
Despite the online bravado and talk of a boycott, Bud Light was available when CNN stopped in recently. It is not clear if the ban had been lifted or if there ever had been one to begin with.
None of it ever made sense. They've been laughing at MAGA right after they finished foaming at the mouth on camera to them. And the only way to remedy it is to get permission from the Messiah to drink Budweiser again and stop acting like they ever quit in the first place.
Trump says it's time to give Bud Light a break. The former president posting on Truth Social and saying that while the Mulvaney's done a mistake of epic proportions, Bud Light has paid the price and perhaps deserves a second chance. One of the most effective boycotts ever, Bud Light. Should we let Bud Light transition back into a man?
Oh, I like the way you put that.
The simplicity of this grift is just too obvious for them to not get it. They may not even care if their followers ever catch on, because the other purpose of these temporary anger campaigns is to tell businesses to stop using their platforms to treat the most disenfranchised groups equally. But they can't just come out and say it that way.
What bothers me most is that they made the mistake of combining politics and social issues with business. I think the most frustrating thing for us is that more and more Americans see businesses doing this, getting involved in areas that should be left to politicians rather than just focusing on providing a good product and good service. That's what I hope that more of these businesses actually do, so that we as consumers don't have to think about, oh, well, is this a woke business or an anti-woke business? Or is this MAGA or is it anti-MAGA? Just provide good service and a good product, compete fairly, whether it's here at home or with businesses around the world, and leave all the politics to the politicians.
What are these woke businesses doing, getting involved in politics anyway? You know, she's acting like businesses and corporations don't dominate the money that flows through political campaigns already. She's acting like Mitt Romney wasn't mocked endlessly for equating corporations and people in order to fool others into thinking that they're funded by regular folks and not money-hungry entities they'd get huge returns on their meager investments into these politicians that they control.
We have to make sure that the promises we make in Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare are promises we can keep. And there are various ways of doing that. One is we could raise taxes on people. That's not the way. Corporations are people, my friend. We can raise taxes on. Of course they are. Everything corporations earn ultimately goes to people. So, where do you think it goes? What? Whose pockets? Whose pockets? People's pockets. Okay, human beings, my friend.
Just like how actors, musicians, and athletes should stay the hell out of politics, unless those famous people are pushing conservative politics, companies should also stay away from it too, unless they're promoting certain people.
He's a very, very good friend of mine. Donald Trump has been such a good friend to me since the day I met him. We originally, when we bought this company had such a bad stigma attached to it in the sport that we couldn't even get into venues. Venues didn't want us. And Donald Trump saw that this thing could possibly be big. Plus, he's a sports guy. He loves sports. And he offered us to come do the event at the Trump Taj Mahal in Atlantic City. Cut us a very fair deal. We went down there and we did 2 events with him. He showed up for the first fight, stayed till the last fight. And you can imagine back then, Trump brand here, UFC brand down here.
Yeah.
But he took us in and he was great. Everything that ever happened to me in my career after that day, the first guy to reach out and say congratulations was Donald Trump.
It's good for Dana White and his business if he was able to get a big-name guy to vouch for him and promote him when the UFC wasn't the standard. He can tell his story all he wants. In his appearance on Tucker Carlson's very partisan Fox News entertainment show to talk about it, very obviously broke the cardinal conservative rule. Don't make a positive statement about a politician if you're a popular figure, unless it's a Republican. But still don't forget, Dana White crossed the boycott line and signed a deal with Budweiser last fall to show the first signs that this nonsense outrage wasn't as important as his business. It just took his buddy Donald Trump until campaign season to see enough reasons for it to benefit him.
Everybody talks about, oh, you did it for money. Hey, dummies, all sponsorship deals are about money, okay? So when you talk about being a sellout, I had multiple deals in front of me. So it's not like, oh, Bud Light showed up and they were the only option I had to get money. You know how stupid that is to think that, you know, this was all about, and I said this yesterday, and I'll say it again, everybody on every side of this deal that were involved, other beer companies and everything else, absolutely positively know that this was not about money for me. We were going to end up with money with no matter who we ended up with.
He straight up told him, hey, dummies, I'm making money and your politicians are playing politics. How many more times do we have to tell you? Because once you're in the trance, you're stuck. Many people's egos are too fragile to admit that the folks pushing for you to be mad at some cans of beer until they told you that the game of make-believe is over are con artists. And before too many of them become woke and figure it out, the way to keep them following you to the next Rage Fest is to claim victory and move on.
I mean, you have to remind yourself that we won. Wokeism is dead. When you see this swift response, and I think Bud Light does deserve a second chance because there are 17,000 employees there who are a lot like us. They had no control over that decision, so why punish them because of one lady? That one lady did that. And when you're seeing the sharp turn that Bud is taking with UFC and with the comedian Shane Gillis, you couldn't get further away from Dylan Mulvaney if you hired the Hells Angels. So they're sending a clear message, which is Dad's home, and he's pissed. And don't ever mess with my Bud Light again.